Okay.
So welcome team to Next Level Scorer. I'm going to pass over to Marie. She's going to get this one started, but in the meantime, hopefully now everybody will be able to write something in chat. If everyone can please write what club they're with, or if they're not from Canterbury, can you write what association you're with, just so we can get a little bit of an idea of where everyone is from, and so we can keep that for our records as well. Over to you, Marie.
Great. Thanks, Cynthia. Kia ora, everybody, and welcome to the first session of Next Level Scorer. It's good to have so much interest there, and we see some people that are busy typing in, which is fantastic. In a minute, I'm just going to try and assess the level of where you're from, of what level you score at, because at the moment I've pitched this totally right at the start, and I know there's some very experienced scorers there that I have seen their names, and I will sort of half pie apologise to you that you, with a lot of today may be totally right at the beginning of what you already know, but you never know, you might pick up the odd thing, and we'll just go from there. What I'm assuming is that there are some people who haven't scored before and know nothing about it. Now, if you're in that situation, can you just raise your hands for me through the indicator so I can just see? Oh, yep.
Welcome, Kate.
Cool. Yeah, excellent.
So good.
Thanks, Kate. You can put your hand down now. So somebody who you're scoring, but you don't really use symbols, you just go around the boxes. Who could be in that position? Put your hand up. Excellent. And if you're pretty good at using your symbols, but you want to know a bit more advanced about the symbols, throw your hand up. Cool. Excellent. Right, can put those hands down now. If you know how to analyze games, I know there's at least one or two there. Is that one? Tara. Okay, cool. Right, and Belinda. So we've got Belinda on board. Now, Belinda is our chief scorer for Canterbury Softball. So welcome to Belinda. That's Belinda Youngman. So it's really great to have Belinda here with us. And I know
Marie, if you want me to pop the mic on for Belinda, if Belinda wants to have a chat.
That'll be really good for just Belinda to say hi. So if you can throw the mic on to Belinda, that'd be really good.
Belinda, just a warning, I'm going to chuck your camera on too. Just put that one out there. So it should be over to you, Belinda, to be able to deal with your own mic.
No, maybe we'll get Belinda. We'll get you to come on board a bit later, Belinda. Then
just it's warning up to you, Belinda, if you can mute or unmute yourself now.
Yep. Cool. Right. So as I said, we're going to start right at the beginning, and I'm going to do a screen share and share the presentation I've put together. At any stage, if you want to ask a question, just ask it in the chat, and Anthea's going to manage it, and we're going to manage it, and we'll ask the questions as we go along. So feel free to ask questions. There is no such thing as a dumb question. Okay, everybody's been at the beginner's level and had dumb questions. I will own up to my one of my very first dumb questions throughout the session. There's a part there that I'll tell you my session. But I see here we've got people from Wellington and Auckland and Nelson. So that's fantastic. Great. So I'll do the screen share. And hopefully it's this screen here. So, Anthea, can you just tell me that you can see the
Yep, we can see that.
Cool, excellent. Right, so welcome to Next Level Scorer. And so for the next few Tuesdays, we're going to be covering just going right back to basics. So this is absolutely right back to basics, and going around the diamonds. So apologies if you already know it, and you get bored with my voice. Sorry about that, but we'll carry on going. Okay, so we're not going to do introductions. I thought we were doing introductions, but as it's a webinar, we've done a few introductions, so we'll take that as read. Then we're going to do have a look at the score sheet, how to write on your teams, have a look at the score box, finishing innings, starting new innings, and getting scoring. So we'll go right back from the start. Help! I have been thrown the score sheet and I need to, what do I do? So your first thing you're going to have to do is write up the score sheet. Then you'll exchange lineups with the opposition scorer. And that depends that is if you are actually physically scoring the game on paper. Okay. I know here in Canterbury we do the app stuff, that we're talking here about the score sheet, scoring the score sheet. And then the next thing you do is score the games. Scoring involves keeping track of what happens in a game, and it's using a set of symbols and numbers. At the most basic level, the runners are tracked around the bases, the number of outs are recorded, and the number of runs scored are recorded. We started off a formal system for scoring softball games in New Zealand, and it was established in 1968. We had our first scorer's manual was written in 1974, and a score sheet and a standard of scoring symbols was developed. So we'll move on. So this is what your score sheet looks like. This is the latest up-to-date score sheet. Some of you may have the former score sheet, which doesn't have these shaded bits down the bottom, and it just looks a bit different here. But basically, the concept is still the same. At the top of the page, we have our game details. So you put in there the teams and the venue and such like that. We have this area where the team information is recorded. We have the scorer where we do our scoring in this main part here. And then under here is where we do our end of innings analysis. That's mainly the stuff we're going to cover tonight. But the other areas of the score sheet are our batting and fielding analysis there to the right around the purple. We've got the game summary information there at the bottom. That's different on both sides of the score sheets. And then we've got the pitching and catching analysis. When we get a bit further along, we'll probably run some sessions on the analysis. Right, so before the game, as we said, you're going to put the game details in, who played who, the venue, diamond, and the date, and do it on both sides. The reason why you do it on both sides, because you might photocopy the game, and if you haven't done it on the other side, then you don't know who the teams are. Then the batters' numbers. These are pre-printed 1 to 9 down the side of the sheet. That number refers to the position within the batting order. And these numbers are used regularly throughout the game. So you can see there that number 1, that's the batter number. Then you show the players' uniform numbers in the number column. If you're scoring where a team has no uniform numbers, which can often happen in club softball, put some other identifying features in there. Could be red shoes or pigtails or something like that, black cap, something like that. So put that in there. So then you write the names of each starting player on the top line beside each of the numbers. So you write your you can see there we've got Cole Evans written in there, and then the number there, and that's the shirt number. Okay. And then the position numbers, that shows the position for each player. And the positions that we use are here. So we go round from the pitcher to the catcher, and it's as if we're looking as like we're from the umpires or sitting behind the back of the dugout, the back of the backstop. So we're going to go first of all from left to right around the bases. So third base, first base is 3, second base is 4, third base is 5, and then we go to shortstop. And then we're going to go in the other order, left to right for the outfielders, 7, 8, and 9. All right. Before the game, toss might be taken or toss might already have been done, and this determines which team bats first and which team fields first. So record this, colour in the appropriate box at the top left-hand corner of each side of the score sheet. The team batting first is the top of the innings, and the team batting fielding first is the bottom. And here's my own up to my dumb comments. That when I first started scoring, and some of you are going to laugh like hell at this one, I was asked, I didn't know what top or bottom meant, and I was asked by the coach, where are we in the order? And I had a look down from 1 to 9 and saw that we were at about batter number 5, so I said the middle. So, yep, everybody starts at a similar level. We've just had a question from Shona. Do teams have to have numbered shirts to play? No, they don't. Okay. When you're getting at the higher levels, yes, they do. But club stuff, kids stuff, no, they don't.
Just on that, beyond scoring, the different associations, different organisations will have different rules in that one, and at what level that they do have to have them.
All right. So Shona, you're from Auckland, so just check that out in Auckland there. Okay. So we're going to have a look at the basics of scoring the game. So the scoring box, each box shows the progress of the batter and base runner around the diamond in that innings as follows. So in box number 1 there, and again, we're looking as though we're from in behind where the catcher, the umpire is. Box number 1 is getting to first base. So it's out or reaching first safely. Box 2 is going to second. Box 3 is going to 3, and box 4 is going home. Okay. So just imagine, if you're a bit unsure of where you start, just imagine that you are sitting sort of where the umpire would normally sit, or where the catcher would sit, and have a look around the diamond like that, how they get to first, second, third, and then home. Right. We use the diamonds in the centre of the box to record what finally becomes of the player. So there's 3 different things that we use it for. First of all, it could be an out, and that's where we'll have a number in the middle. So 1, 2, or 3. A run scored. So that's where we colour in. It's up to you if you wanted to use red. We tend to use red. It stands out quite nicely. Or if they're left on base. So if they're left on first, you put an A, left on second, put a B, and left on third, you put a C. So if there's a diamond that's not filled in, it means that player didn't come up to bat in that innings. Okay, so basically all of the players that came into the box that innings should have something in the box with them. When you begin as a scorer, use diagonal lines to track the runners around the bases. So this is right at the start. So runner goes to first, you'd put a line, goes to second, goes to third, goes home, and then scores a run. Or they go to first, and then they might go out going to second. You can just put a 2. Don't put that next line going to 2, because they didn't reach there. Or if they just go to first and they're left on the base, you could just leave the letter A in the middle. So at the end of the innings, when the innings is finished, mark a single thick diagonal line after the last player to complete a turn at bat. Just be aware it's not always the last out of the innings, it's the last person who came into the box. The situation just at hand there is where the last out, there was a runner on 1 and then the last out is taken at 2, but you still score that the person who batted still score them on in the base. So you put, for example, you put them there, and if they had reached base. You'll then start the next innings in the next column beside that line. Like right there. So to keep count of the runs, at the bottom of each innings, you'll see the innings summary box. So it looks something like that. It's got all those cross hatches and things there. In the former score sheets, you might find a few boxes, and there's boxes in there rather than the cross hatches. So when you start scoring, concentrate just on the runs and the total boxes. Don't worry about the hits left on base or anything like that. The runs scored in each innings are recorded in the top left hand box there, and then you add the total up in the right, and what the total is after that, so the cumulative total. So, for example, you can see here in the first innings, there was no runs scored. In fact, the first 2 innings. And then in the third innings, there was 2 runs scored for a total of 2. And then in the fourth innings, 4 runs scored to make a total of 6. And you just keep doing the totals like that. So you can always see at quick glance what the score is down there without having to add up the runs. Okay, right. Now we're going to do a bit of starting with some symbols, because when you're starting, a really good way is to start with putting the symbols of how they got to base or maybe got out in that first box, that number 1 box. So we're going to have a look at that first of all. So you can see here, start off first of all showing it on it going to first. We haven't got the line there, and then you can use the diagonal lines to show the runners moving around the base when you don't know what the symbols are. So this symbol here is a BB for a walk. Now we also use numbers. So we use numbers in 3 different ways. So I just wanted to touch on those before we carry on, because we're going to have a look at combining symbols and numbers. So the first one is, if it's an out, it's in the middle of the diamond. It shows either as a 1, 2, or 3, like that. If it's a main part of the scoring, it shows either where the ball went or who took an out or made a play. That's an example of it there. Or if it's in a circle, that's called a batter number. We're going to do a bit more on this a bit later, but that's what they look like. So we use numbers in 3 different ways, just so you know when we get to them. So here's our symbols. These are some basic symbols that probably are a good idea for you to know to start off with. We're going to go through a few of these, so I'm just going to carry on a bit. We'll come back to this sheet, so don't worry about that, and you can ask questions. So we combine some of the symbols with numbers. The numbers show either who took the out or made an error or where the ball was hit. So in this example, F is for a fly ball and 8 is the person who caught the ball. So that's a fly ball out to centre field. And we've got a 1 in the middle to show it was the first out. In the next box, we've got an E for error, and then after that, we put the person who made the error. So if you have a look at both of these, we're putting the person who did the action, i.e. the error or the fly ball, directly after the symbol. So E4. And we can also put where it's hit to. So in the case of safe hits, we, instead of putting where the ball, who fielded the ball, we actually put where it's hit to. So in this example, it's a safe hit to shortstop as 6, and they were left on first base. The only type of out that we don't use a fielder number for is a strikeout. Okay, and that's unless they throw it to the catcher throws the ball to first base for an out. So when with a strikeout, the catcher is automatically credited with that put out. Okay, so where the catcher is credited with the put out for a strikeout, we don't put a 2 there. Ground outs. So a ground out is where a runner is taken out at a base, and this is at first base, and it can involve another fielder throwing the ball to first base. So in this example here, we've got we've got a 6-3. We simply put the numbers of the fielders involved in the box. So we've got there 6-3. So that there says that shortstop, position 6, picks up the ball and throws it to first base, position 3, for the out. And it's the person who took the out. So sometimes second base might come and cover the base there. So you'd put, if second base had come and taken that out instead of first base, you'd put 6-4. Make sure that the right person gets the out. The fact that we know it's at first base is because it's in this. I'll just get my cursor. It's in this box here. Okay, we don't need to include any other symbols unless it's a tag. Okay, if it is a tag, we'll put a T in front of it. So if this was if shortstop picked it up and threw it to first base, who instead of putting their foot on the base tagged it, we'd put a T in the middle there, so it'd be 6T3. Right. The next one is with safe hits. So the safe hit symbol is consists of a horizontal line. So one horizontal line here, and for each additional base, a batter advances on the hit, we put a vertical line through the horizontal line. So no line through it is a 1 base hit, one line through it is a 2 base hit, 2 lines through is a 3 base hit, and 3 lines is a home run. For example, there. So we put where the ball, with a fielder number below it. So for hits, we show where the ball is hit rather than the fielder that picks it up. So in the first example there with A, that ball was hit to the shortstop. It's a 1 base hit to the shortstop. In the second example there, we've used the 2 base symbol. So that's a 2 base hit to left field. And we've got the arrow there. We're showing an arrow there because they go to second on that same play. So if they go advance more than 1 base on the same play, we can use an arrow like that. Okay. And then the next play is a 3 base hit. And this time it's to centre right field. Okay, so we've put 8-9 because it was in between. It wasn't, although right field might have picked it up, we still put 8-9 because it actually shows sometimes when a player has had a really good hit to either left centre or centre right, that can show a really good hit at that stage. And then if it's a home run, we've got the 3 lines there. And just a wee little tip here, if it's an automatic home run, so it goes over a fence, we put a little A beside the 9 or the fielder number just to show that it's a automatic. If it's not an automatic, we don't put it, and that shows us if it's what we call an in the park home run. So just going to go through some of the symbols now. Feel free to ask any questions through this about any of the symbols. So we've covered the hits there. We'll go on to the base on balls, the walk. So BB, base on balls. Okay, that's how that's basically getting a player onto base. Hit by pitch, HP. FC is a fielder's choice. Now, I'm just going to skip that for a wee bit because that's actually quite a complicated, well, can be quite a complicated play using it. So I'm just going to leave it out for now. Okay. The only thing I will say is that you don't put a hit and a fielder's choice in the same play. Okay. Yeah, I'll cover it just in a wee bit later. E is for an error. And if it's a particular kind of error, so for example, if it's a drop fly ball, we'll put an F in front of it. So fly ball E is a fly ball dropped. If it's a foul fly, so if you have a look into the out box on the other side there, you'll see FF for fly ball caught. If it's a fly ball foul fly that's caught, we would still put FF E2, for example. Okay. KWP is a drop third strike when it's the third strike, and it's a strikeout, but they get on base with it, and it's a wild pitch. Okay. And similarly, a K passed ball PB is where it's a passed ball on that third strike. I'll go through the difference of a wild pitch and passed ball. Yeah, we'll see if we've got time at the end to go through those differences. Then we've got the outs. We've got the strikeouts. So where the batter swings at the third pitch, it's a K. Where they don't swing at it, and what we call a called strike, it's a KC. And when they drop it, but there's a runner on first, and the catcher drops it, but there's a runner on first, and the batter is out in that circumstance, and it's a KA. What that circumstance is that, just to go over that, if there are none or one down with a runner on first base, and the third strike is dropped, the batter is automatically out. So that's called the drop third strike rule. Okay, because what that has been brought in to stop catchers deliberately dropping the third strike, then trying to throw the ball over to second and then first to get a double. So that's why that was brought in. Okay, so if that happens, we just put KA. T is if there's a tag, and we've talked about the fly ball and the foul ball fly caught. Okay, the difference between a wild pitch LB, Kelly, do you want to just turn Kelly on there, Anthea, and just so I can get from Kelly what LB is, what she means by LB?
Seconds.
Oh, leaving base early. Yep. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Sorry. Yeah, I was going to cover those ones because I haven't got any of those advanced ones on advancing the runners at this stage. We might go on to those. And yeah, we'll get there, Kelly. Don't worry. We'll get there. So go over the drop third strike one more time. Okay. So when there is none or one down and a runner on first base. So if you have a think about it, there's a runner on first base, there's none down, the batter swings at the ball. The catcher in the past, many moons ago, what the catcher was able to do, and some smart catchers did this, is they deliberately dropped that third strike and then threw the ball to second. And because they deliberately dropped it, because it was dropped, it meant that the runners would have to go to the next, because the runner's on first, the runner would have to go advance to the next base. And so then what they would do is take the out at 2 and then throw the ball over to 1 to get a double play. So to stop that happening, what was brought in, what was called the automatic drop third strike rule to stop that happening. So with none down and one down and a runner on 1, so that's where there is a force at second base. Okay. If the third strike is dropped, it's an automatic out to stop that. Doesn't matter if there's 2 out because they have to catch it, because with 2 out, it's you don't have that force situation, that force out situation necessarily with a double. This is to stop the double play. Do you understand that, Jane? Just do a fingers up, a hands up if you. Yep, right. Okay. Right. Yes, the umpire will call that as an out. Yes, the umpire will call it as an out. Most players know it anyhow. Well, no, sorry, no, they don't necessarily. In the lower grades, they probably won't, but at the top level, they will. So, yeah, just something to be aware of. And actually, some umpires may not be aware of it as well in lower grades if you've got player umpires. So I'll say, yes, they should, but they may not. Okay, if it depends what level you're scoring. Okay. What we're going to go into now is the better numbers. So we're going to go into advances. And advancing the runners. So better numbers are used to advance runners when they are advanced either while another batter is batting or as a result of another batter's actions. So that's a bit, sort of sounds a bit convoluted. What it basically means is you've got a runner on one, the batter is walked, and so we'll use a better number to show that the runner going to two advanced because of that other batter, the batter's walk. Okay, so I'll show you some examples of it. So as you get more confident with your scoring, to advance runners around the base, if you don't know the symbols, just put a better number. Okay, so what we want you to do first of all is to concentrate on getting the batters to base first of all. That's the most important thing. So the BB or how they got to base is the most important thing. If you can then get the other stuff, put the lines first of all. If you can just put even what batter was batting when that one advanced, throw that in. And then as you get to the stage where you know the symbols, put those symbols in. Okay. I'm just going to stop sharing because that's where I've sort of got to, but what I will eventually do is, no, I won't. I'll talk to you for a bit and then I'll do a share. Sorry, I'm just a bit disorganized slightly here. So advancing plays to advance runners, okay, or to take them out on the base. Kelly's sort of said LB there. That's a play that you would use on the bases. So that's when somebody would leave base early. So we put an LB. We would put the number of the person who's in the nearest position, and then we would put so it might be LB, and if it's first base, we'd put LB3, and then we would put the better number. Okay, so I'm just going to change my stop sharing briefly and then share at another screen. Sorry. Right, can you see this other one now, Anthea?
Yep.
Great. Okay, so this is showing a few different things. This is the scorer's manual, and I'll talk to you about where to find the scorer's manual and all of these things a bit later. But you can see here we've got some, we'll go back to here and you can see symbols used on a runner only. So wild pitch is where there's an advance. So wild pitch or pass ball. Difference between a wild pitch and a pass ball. A wild pitch is one that the catcher, it's so high, so wide, so wild that the catcher could not have controlled it with ordinary effort. Also, any pitch that bounces before the plate and a runner advances on that is automatically a wild pitch. So a pass ball then is one where the catcher should have been able to control it, making ordinary effort. often you will hear people, particularly commentators, will say, "Oh, that's a pass ball," for every pitch that eludes the catcher or or goes wild. Often it might depend on whether the commentator has been a pitcher or a catcher. If they're a catcher, they'll often say it's a wild pitch, and if they're a catch, if they're a pitcher, they'll say it's a pass ball. Okay. Don't worry about these small ones at the moment, because we'll come into those a bit later. Illegal pitch, if the umpire calls an illegal pitch and a runner advances on it, score an IP. Okay, illegal pitch, and you put the batter number. Okay, if it's a stolen base, again, SB, and then probably the other main one you'll have here is a caught stealing. Okay. Any questions so far? So I've been going at quite a pace here. No? Okay. Right. I'm just going to touch here on ball and strike count. So, as you can see here, we put in the ball and strike count. I'm going to say, when you're starting off, there's two sort of trains of thought about why it might be good to do balls and strikes when you're starting off and why it might not be. One of the things why it might be quite good is it keeps you involved in the game, okay, so that you're watching the game and your mind's not going somewhere else. The other reason why it may not be is if you're concentrating all the time on trying to get the pitches, you may forget to advance the players. So the main thing is to get the players to base, to get them round the base, and how they score coming home. So those are your main things. First of all, getting your pitch count done a bit later is probably secondary to those. So just going through them. We have an illegal pitches, which is like an exclamation mark. We do that in red, and that just shows that it's an illegal pitch. That's automatically a ball.
Marie, can I just interrupt for a second? Are you able to zoom a little bit in on those?
Yep, I'm sure can. How does that sound? Is that
I don't know
better?
if it's my computer, but hopefully everybody can see that one really well now.
Yep.
Thank you.
There we go. All right. Thanks, Anthea. So a ball is just a dot. Okay, so in the top one here, you can see the dot here is a ball. An illegal pitch, which is also a ball, but we do that in red. We didn't used to record those, but we decided it was a good idea to, because it actually gives a truer account of the illegal pitches. Previously, when we just used to score them when the runner advanced, but that really wasn't a true record of how many illegal pitches a pitcher threw. So by putting the exclamation mark in there now and recording it, it gives that true indication. The C is a called strike, not swung at. So when we talked about the KC, a C is a called strike. An X is a swung at strike. Okay. The numbers are where foul balls were hit to. So in this example here, the first one was hit to right field, then behind the catcher, down first baseline, down third baseline, down out to the left field. In fact, they were hitting it all over the place, this batter, the foul balls. Once you have, obviously, more than two strikes here, you can have a lot more fouls, but you won't get any more of the X's or C's in here after you've had more than two strikes. So just be aware of that. We also do a foul bunt just to show that it was a foul bunt, and we just put a B there, and that just shows that it was a bunt, and instead of the fielder number. And we put an N for a no pitch that was called. So when a runner is called out for leaving base early, that's a no pitch. It doesn't count as a pitch at all. So we put an N there just to show that it was a no pitch. And if there's a change of pitches in between, in the middle of the batter, we just put that slash there to show the two different pitches. Any questions on those?
You see that question there, Marie?
What do you do if you run out of space in a score sheet? That's right, isn't it, Tanya? Okay, I will try and advance very quickly. So watch, just ignore my, oh no, here we go here. It's not too far away. So, innings overflow. Right. If the ninth batter in an innings is the third out, so it would be this one here. So we're looking in the fifth innings here. You can still put that, show that one there, because show it in that box there, so you can see the third out there in the fifth innings. However, in the sixth innings here, where that ninth batter got safe and the 10th batter was coming up, what you do is you shift that ninth one across a bit and then carry on in the next column. Why you put this ninth batter across is so that we can put these, what we call inning overflow lines. Sometimes we call them railway tracks, so that your eye can follow clearly with this, with it down to here. What you then do up at the top of the score sheet is make sure that you cross out the innings and put the new innings in, so that you can still keep track of the innings. Does that answer your question about running out of space? Hopefully, yes. Right. Yeah, we call them curved railway tracks. Okay. Just another thing. Yeah. Sometimes we might get a score sheet overflow. And I think we're now on 10 columns in the new score sheet. If we do have a further score sheet, grab another score sheet and just use the first sheet for all your totals, and then you mark the next sheet, sheet 2, and then sheet 1 of 2 and sheet 2 of 2. I also do a little trick that I will actually take that second score sheet and actually just cut out the innings that we've used and just sellotape them alongside the innings just on one side, so that you can fold it over and fold it back again.
So Marie, Tania's just asked about if you run out of the space where the strikes and the information goes.
Okay. I just usually carry up the side sort of a bit and go up the side. That does happen. I just sort of go up the I'll sort of show you here. I just carry on going up the side here a wee bit. Yeah. Yeah. And it's been known to happen quite often, actually. Any other questions? Okay, I'm just going to touch extremely briefly on fielder's choices, okay? FC. So what a fielder's choice means is that a fielder has chosen, they could do two plays, like two different things, and they've chosen to make a different play, chosen usually a different player to concentrate on, and another player has been able to advance because of that play. So example of a fielder's choice is where there's a runner on one, the ball's hit to the shortstop who throws the ball over to first for the out, and the runner goes to second base. The runner advances to second base on a fielder's choice. So that's an FC. Okay. So that's probably your most common FC. Another fielder's choice, though, could be if a ball was hit to a fielder and they chose not to throw the ball because they were holding up another runner. So, for example, there's a runner on 2, the ball's hit to shortstop. They don't want the runner to go from 2 to 3, so they hold the ball and check the runner back, and while they're holding it, the batter gets safe on first. If that happens, you would just put an FC and put the fielder number 6. So that is showing, what that fielder's choice shows is that if the play had been concentrated on that on the other player, they could have been out, or they should have been out. Any questions on fielder's choices? No, nobody. Well, as we go along, we're going to come up with a lot of examples. We'll come through with a lot of examples of fielder's choices and what we call multi-symbol plays, because they can be quite complement. Is that the same as an intentional walk? No. An intentional walk, if it's an intentional walk, you put IBB, so just an I in front of it to say IBB. Okay. Now, if with a intentional walk, they tell the umpire we want to walk them without throwing a pitch, put that into the pitch count, just to show that there was no pitches there, and it was the batter was put on by the catcher. Okay, so just do that with an intentional walk. Yeah. Any other questions about any of this? Okay, what we will just finish off with, because we've actually got through quite a bit, but we will just finish off with one more concept. We talked about wild pitches and pass balls, and I said the phrase ordinary effort. Okay, so that's a phrase we use quite a bit. We use it with wild pitches and pass balls, whether a catcher could have controlled the ball with ordinary effort. We do the same with hits and error decisions. Okay, so I'm just going to try and find a hit and error discussion here on sorry, I'm going through. Okay, scoring an error. Okay, right, errors. Okay, we have 2 different types of errors. We call them out or error, but out or advanced. But for the moment, just think about out errors, which are: an error is a mistake by the fielding team which prolongs the life of a batter or base runner who should have been out, or allows a base runner to advance 1 or more extra bases that they should not have reached if the error hadn't have happened. So this is where scorer's judgment comes into it, and this is where we talk about, because a lot of people say, oh, what's the difference between a hit and an error, right? A fielder is expected to make a reasonable effort or ordinary effort, and it depends on the play. It sometimes could move, including a step or two towards the ball to make a play. What is considered to be reasonable effort varies with the standard of softball being played. So, for example, the standard in Premier softball will be very different from social or age group softball. So your judgment needs to be tougher at higher levels of softball. Now, there's some other things that we take into account, and we ask ourselves when we're scoring whether to score a hit or error. So the first one is, should a fielder at this level of softball generally be expected to make this out? Be careful not to judge the player rather than the play. So you might say, well, actually, I know little Johnny, and Johnny's a really good shortstop, and he should have made that play. They shouldn't be charged against the best fielder in the league just because he should have had it. It has to be consistent for all players of that same standard, depending on the league, grade or level. Do we understand that? Okay. We have some other questions that we sort of think about when we're doing it. First of all, does the batter deserve a hit? We don't think about that, but does the fielder deserve an error? Okay, so we remember the key phrase, reasonable effort. A fielder is only expected to make ordinary or reasonable effort, not to be Superman or Superwoman. Okay. And when we're saying this, just because a player gets a glove to the ball, it doesn't mean that it's automatically an error, okay? A player could make a great effort and just tip the ball with the glove. That wouldn't be an error. Okay. What if the error hadn't occurred? If the error doesn't affect the outcome of the play, don't score it. So, for example, the ball could be hit to second base, who fumbles it, but they manage to get the out. Don't score the error. Just score it as a 4-3 ground out. Okay. Another example of that would be if the ball is hit to the outfield, say to centre field, who fumbles it or maybe even lets the ball go through their legs slightly. But if that runner doesn't advance another base, don't score that error. Just have a think about this. The ball's hit out to centre field and they have fumbled it. Now, if they hadn't have fumbled it, the batter hadn't gone to, they weren't going to get the batter out at first base, were they? Right. So even though there's been a fumble or it's gone through legs, if that batter didn't go an extra base, don't score them an error. Okay. Do you understand that? Hopefully you do. If you don't, throw a question in. And the next one that we do say quite often, if the out had been taken, would have been worthy of applause. And if so, that would surely indicate extraordinary effort. So would you have said, you think about it, hey, would we have said great catch there or fantastic play? If you would have said that, then don't score the error. Give that fielder the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes when a hit leaves the bat, it looks like a hit. It's so hard and looks like it's a hit. So if so, score it as a hit, despite what the fielder did with it. This is something also that some coaches struggle with at times. Slow handling is not classed as an error, okay, unless there is some form of mechanical misplay, right? On a bad hop, it may seem that the batter doesn't deserve a hit, but even less so does the fielder deserve an error, okay? So basically the batter will get the benefit of the doubt of any of those quirks of the ball, and that's the same with the slow play. The batter's getting a bit of a bonus. Now, this is an interesting one. When a throw-in ball hits a runner, a bat or an umpire, and the runner should have been out, you put the error onto the thrower. Okay. When an infield throw bounces before reaching the baseman, therefore for allowing the runner to be safe, score an error to the thrower. Don't blame the baseman or basewoman for not picking up a bad throw. So for plays like at first with throws, if it's you've got to decide who made that error. Should that first base have caught that play and taken the play, or was the throw out of the reach of the first base? So you need to those are the types of decisions you really need to have a consider of.
Marie, we've just got a question here from Robin. Do both scorers need to score the same with errors?
For both teams, no. If you've got both teams, no, they don't. We've got different types of scorers. So most of you are probably going to be doing team scoring. When you if you wanted to get a bit more serious about scoring, sort of like Belinda, or we've got Sarah on board and Susie on board who've done some qualifications. We appoint scorers to games and to fixtures. In that situation, what we call, that's the official scorer. The official scorer, what they score is stands for as far as hits and errors, okay? But no, both teams don't have to agree on it. Definitely not. When fielders collide attempting to catch a ball, consider the level of softball being played to decide whether the play deserves an error and who to charge with the error. Right, so that's just a bit about hit and error decisions. We might just leave it there, and we will carry on with how to score errors and how to do some more on advancing players in next week's. If you want to have a bit of a go at having a score, doing a bit of scoring, grab a score sheet, go to a YouTube, have a look for a game there. Softball New Zealand have got a YouTube channel. We've got one too, haven't we, Anthea?
Yeah, we've got Canterbury Softball TV on YouTube.
Yeah, so you can go to any of those games and just have a practice scoring if you want.
Just a question that came in here: can a scorer call time?
You mean by calling time out to the umpires? Generally, no. No, that should be your coach or manager. It shouldn't be a scorer. In some circumstances, a official scorer will call time to tell the umpire that maybe it's reached the end of the game when it's a run ahead rule, or if it's a time game, that it's time limit game. But otherwise, no, the scorer shouldn't be calling time. Yeah, that should be up to the coaches. So if you're a team scorer, you should go through your team. And so, yeah, that's something really to just to be aware of. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions? Yeah, any other questions?
Answered that question, which is good. And just you'll hear that Marie has been saying about some more sessions that we're going to be running. So this will be running for 6 weeks. You can jump into whichever ones you can, whichever ones that you're interested, or if you are not able to come to the sessions, we can also pass on the videos to you afterwards. Just get in touch with me if that's what you want to do. We do have a few people that couldn't make it tonight that did register, that do want the videos. We're also going to make those videos available on our website also, which will stay up there for people to be able to go back as a resource too.
So yes, we will send an invite for the next session. What I'm planning to do with these is just to be quite fluid. So you can see we've gone a bit beyond what I said we would go beyond. It's just going to see how we go through things and progress. So what I will do before next week is let Anthea know what I expect to be able to cover. So that you're aware of it, so that when the invite goes out, you're aware of it and you can decide whether you're not. If there's anything in particular you think that you might like to have covered, flick that through to Anthea. Any questions or anything like that in between time, yeah, just let Anthea know and we can I can attack that next time. Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks for that, Marie. Yeah, we will be advertising the next lot. I'll pop that out tomorrow via social media. If the people that registered for this one, I'm happy to send that link straight to you, so that you don't have to keep an eye out on social media for the link. but hopefully everybody can jump on board for the next 5 weeks. There will be one weekend, 1 week that we have stand down when we've got our CSA AGM, and we don't want to be taking anyone away from that. And Marie will be running that one too. So we will be taking a week off on the, what is it, the
26th, I think, isn't it?
Round then. That's the Tuesday that week.
Yeah, round
couldn't tell you the date off my head, sorry. So yeah, they'll be running into September as well. But as I say, you can jump on and just grab the video if you can't make it.
Yeah. And again, if there's anything you want covered, or if you think I've gone a bit quickly on things, just let us know, and because we will do some recaps at the start. And if there's anything in particular that you would like to recap on, just let us know.
Thank you very much for that, Marie, and thank you guys for joining us. We will
absolutely
next week.
Cool. Belinda, do you want to stay online for a bit?